There we are. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mark Johnson, owner of Hobnail Trekking Company, and I'd like to welcome you to this live stream today. So today we'll be discussing our amazing Nordic Odyssey adventure to Iceland and the Faroe Islands. If you're watching this live today, feel free to ask questions in the comments section and we'll be happy to answer them. If you're watching this as a later recording, just shoot me a question anytime through our website at hobnailtrekkingco.com. There's lots of different ways to get in touch with us, but that's the easiest thing to do. Before I bring in my guests, I want to provide you with a little context to today's live stream. So my wife Holly and I founded Hobnail Trekking Company 8 years ago as a Himalayan trekking company only. And much to our surprise and delight, we have since expanded into more than a dozen countries, places like Peru, Scotland, the Balkans, Patagonia, Ecuador, and many others. Our goal is to make epic, life-changing adventures accessible to anybody with the passion and the courage to try them. It's just as simple as that. Iceland and the Faroe Islands have been on our short list of destinations for several years now. And we finally struck up the right relationship when we met Fran Lopez with Reconnect Travel several months ago. Through Fran, we hooked up with our Iceland guide, Sævar Thorleifsson, and our Faroe Islands guide, Árni Winther Jakobsen. I think I'm saying that right, but he'll probably have to correct me, to create this amazing Nordic Odyssey adventure, which is only available through Hobnail Trekking. You can do other things up there, but this adventure that we're talking about today, you're only going to find it through us, which is what makes it the most awesome. So our first departure is coming soon, August 12th through the 20th of this year. And we only have 6 remaining slots. Because this is a first time inaugural trip, Holly and I will be leading it ourselves, with, of course, Sævar and Árni guiding and Fran assisting with logistics. So today I'd like to start by adding Fran to the screen. And I want to remind you that we're coming to you from Tennessee in the U.S., Denmark, Iceland, and the Faroe Islands. So if any of us freeze up or go away for a minute, no worries. We'll keep going with somebody else and we'll make it work. So there's Fran. How's it going, my friend?
Hey, Mark. All good on this side of the world. Copenhagen over here in Denmark. So get into the evening time and then still with the sun up. So yeah, long days in the summertime. So that's good.
Good deal. Well, I want to welcome you here, and I think why don't you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself, how you got into this adventure travel world that we're in, and kind of a little bit about this incredible trip that we've put together from a high scale, from a high altitude level.
Well, thanks again for the opportunity, and it has been nothing but great when we first met, and all the the long way that we went through, developing this trip, and it's truly a very nice experience, and it combines 2 destinations that I feel passionate about. Now, my name says it all. I'm not originally from the Nordics. I'm originally from Argentina. So when I saw that you also had Patagonia, it's like definitely in my heart. But I've been living here in Denmark for 12 years already. I've been working as a travel guide in the Nordic countries. I do feel passionate about the region. And about 2 years ago, I decided to, go solo and then focus a little bit more on developing a little bit more conscious, responsible, purposeful travel experiences. There is so much to explore in the Nordics that way. So I wanted to give, all the things that I created a bit of a twist. I focused on conservation and focused on sustainability. And then slowly, bit by bit, I started, developing purpose-driven sort of like travel experiences. I came across the Adventure Travel Trade Association, and this is how I came across Hobnail trekking as well. So I was like, okay, this is a good match. I think I should contact Mark and Holly and then give it a go. Try to see if we can build something. So this is what we've been doing for the past, few weeks and months. So yeah,
We're
happy
glad
to be here.
glad you did. Yeah. And just, so people understand, we're in all these different countries, but it's not as if Hobnail Trekking pays full-time salaries to people in all these different countries. The way the adventure travel industry works is that, we develop partnerships and relationships with tour providers and destination management people and stuff all over the world to develop these itineraries. And it's about finding the right relationships and the right vibe and culture and things like that. And we've been really blessed with the people that we've been able to hook up with, and you're certainly one of those. So yeah, absolutely. So this Nordic Odyssey, it's a 9-day or a 9-day 8-night itinerary.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we've, there are parts of it that we've really tweaked to make right for our Hobnail community. And but just talk a little bit about as a whole, what kind of experience are our customers going to have on this trip?
Yeah, so to start with, the combination of the two destinations, they seem to be very remotely, but they're actually very well interconnected. So we're talking about Iceland and the Faroe Islands, two places in the middle of the Atlantic. And it's for me, when we start with Iceland, it's like traveling back in time to the beginning of times, to the beginning of Earth, forming. The island is just in the middle of two tectonic plates. It's on top of a hot spot that is continuously shaping the island as well. And this is perfect for different landscapes to be explore. The best way is to do it by hiking, and to really feel that way of what the locals, how the locals commute, how the locals they arrive to that area, and then they explore the area as well. So the first settlers and so on. And the minute that you arrive to Iceland, even by plane, and then also to the Faroe Islands, you already start feeling that. So we do have a combination of, adventure, leisure, and also, some time to why not enjoy, some local beers with the locals and so on. Especially with the two guides that we have, they're pretty good at that as well. You will find out. But yeah, it's hiking lava fields, it's hiking glaciers, trying to discover why Iceland is called the land of fire and ice. And then we jump into the Faroe Islands, and the Faroe Islands has all these beautiful trekking paths that they have been used to commute in between settlements and then different villages in between the different islands within Faroe. But it's completely greenish. There is no trees. So there's a lot of different variety of landscapes as well. We also have the opportunity to dive into in between the two tectonic plates as well, which is cold, but pretty memorable as well. We dine with locals. We actually have pretty good farm to table experiences. There is a project that we visit in Faroe Islands about soil regeneration of one of the natural reserves there is there. So we do the whole idea of this itinerary is to really connect with the locals, to connect with the way that they live their lives. And for the guests to be able to, well, first of all, be guests, and then we have two amazing hosts that they will make sure that they live with that feeling of having been introduced to the two regions, but also to the local communities as well, and to have lived those. So that's pretty much what we intend to do with a trip, to go a little bit beyond the just the pure experience in itself, to really connect with the locals.
Sure. Fantastic. Well, I appreciate that. I'll tell you what, it's probably a good time to bring Sævar into the conversation here. So I'm gonna welcome him in. Hello, my friend.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
So my name is Sævar Þorleifsson, very easily pronounceable. I think you'll find that when you come to Iceland, a lot of the names, both people's names and place names, are tricky. So just kind of first things, you don't have to worry about mispronouncing things. We're quite used to that.
Okay, good. Well, Sævar, same as with Fran. Why don't you give us a little bit of your background, and then you can jump right into the itinerary, and let me know when you're ready, and I'll share your screen.
Yeah. So I'm a true Icelandic local. I can trace my family back 28 generations in Iceland. So you can hardly find anybody more Icelandic than me. But I was raised on a farm in the northwest of Iceland. My parents are sheep farmers. Kind of when I moved away from home, I went to university and I studied education. I have a master's degree in education, was a high school teacher for a few years. But I quickly learned that the classroom life was not for me. Being a farm boy, I like to be outside. So I kind of made the switch and became a tour guide. And I've been a tour guide here in Iceland for almost 16 years. I should say I've been working in some fashion of Icelandic tourism for the past 16 years in different aspects. And I've kind of been taking people all over the island. A couple of years back, I started my own company, and that's how I met Fran. So that's kind of how I got roped into this.
Fantastic.
But if you were to say, my specialty lies in Iceland's geology. So that's kind of my one of my main passions. So I hope people have at least a passing interest in geology. Otherwise, it might get a bit dull when I'm kind of tracking you through lava fields and volcanic landscapes while you're in Iceland.
I can't imagine that's going to be dull for anybody.
No, I can tell you.
Yeah, it's quite rugged and quite interesting. And I often like to just tell people, like, Iceland is kind of like geology 101. Here you can see how everything kind of begins and how it forms, and as I said, people can just, when they come and see it and experience it, they will kind of start wonder on their own, and I hopefully will be able to provide some context to it all.
Absolutely. Okay, if you are ready, I'll share your screen, and you can.
Yeah, I think I've shared the screen, so you can.
Okay. All right, you're there.
All right, so you'll fly directly into Keflavík Airport on your first day. So we'll kind of begin by exploring what we call the Reykjanes Peninsula, which is essentially the newest addition to the island of Iceland. And as it happens, it's where the international airport is located. So we'll kind of start out by exploring some of the interesting sites that are just on the doorstep of the airport. It's an incredibly rugged volcanic landscape, lava fields of many different ages. There are some of the more powerful hot springs in Iceland. For example, probably one of the first sites that we'll visit is called Gunnukver, which is technically a fumarole if you want to be nerdy about it, but not a hot spring. But it has kind of a fascinating history. It's named after a ghost that is said to reside inside the hot spring. I'll tell you all about that when you're there. We have some beautiful bird cliffs in the general area. There are geothermal power plants. And as I said, it's just a landscape that is just, as I said, brand new and kind of just this strange raw beauty, kind of natural beauty. Now, as many know, for the past 4 years, we've actually had 10 volcanic eruptions on the Reykjanes Peninsula. And we'll drive through the town of Grindavik, which is kind of the town closest to it. The lava flow during one of the eruptions actually went into the town, and people had to be evacuated, and a lot of people have moved away. So it's kind of like a strange experience kind of coming in. It's kind of like kind of experience something after a natural disaster, seeing how people have been kind of rebounding back after it, because it's, you know, there's still people that live there, but it's kind of slowly coming back to life. And we'll be able to kind of see the brand new lava field, which is less than a year old. And after we've done that, we will actually do a little bit of a hike. We're not allowed to go to the newest crater because it's still secreting heavy gases, so it's still dangerous. So there's like they kind of keep people away from that. But we can go to some of the earlier ones that kind of started it all about 4 years ago. So we'll do like a little day hike kind of along the new lava fields. And as I said, I will tell you all about the eruptions and kind of the geological history of Iceland. And kind of along the way, we'll have some kind of trail snacks. Now, I will force feed you some Icelandic delicacies, which we'll talk about maybe later.
Okay.
After that, we will then make our way to a geothermal power plant, which is called Hellisheiði, which is the second biggest geothermal power plant in Iceland. They have a little exhibit where they kind of teach about how we are utilizing all this power that kind of resides in the ground here. Wow. And also, they kind of a new addition to what they're doing there is called Carbfix, where they're kind of binding, carbon monoxide into the ground. So they're kind of reducing pollution by kind of binding it into the kind of the porous lava rocks that kind of lie underneath. So we'll kind of learn a little bit about how we are kind of making the earth a little bit cleaner and the air kind of cleaner and so on. So it's kind of a fascinating thing, kind of an opportunity to learn a little bit more about how we are kind of not only just surviving but thriving on this kind of barren, desolate island. After that, we'll then make our way to our hotel, and we'll kind of check in. And then we'll have a dinner at a restaurant close to our hotel, which is called Ingólfsskáli, which is kind of a Viking-themed kind of longhouse. And they will have a Viking dinner, and they will have like, well, it kind of depends on weather, but they will usually have like outdoor activities like archery and axe throwing and so on available to us. So that's the first day. It kind of just depends. We can kind of go quite heavy or light, kind of depending on how the weather is treating us. But it's a fun packed day. Mm-hmm. Now, next day we're gonna kind of venture down the south coast of Iceland, which is one of the more popular areas in Iceland to explore. That's where, if you are fairly active in Instagram, a lot of the pictures from Iceland, they kind of come from that area. We have some of the most picturesque waterfalls in the world. Of course, I'm quite biased, but they're quite pretty. So you'll hopefully, if the sun kind of makes an appearance, we'll have rainbows in the mist, and you'll have opportunities to get wet and so on. I guess you could say the main feature of the day is that we will have a private glacial hike up on a glacial outlet, which is called Sólheimajökull, which is just on the outskirts of Iceland's fourth largest glacier. And it will kind of be an opportunity for us to kind of see how the glaciers are shaping the island, and also, of course, to talk about how the glaciers are kind of retreating in past years and so on. And this glacier is also right next to a famous volcano here in Iceland, which is called Eyjafjallajökull, which is a volcano that many might have heard of, even though most can't pronounce it, the name of it. But it has ash from the eruption still kind of sitting there on the ice, so you're able to kind of see how it kind of impacts everything and so on. Now, kind of along the coastline, there are also beautiful locations to visit. For example, the Black Sand Beach, where we'll have hopefully hundreds and hundreds of puffins making an appearance. Kind of very active bird cliffs. We'll have these very odd but beautiful looking hexagonal basalt columns, the columnar basalt. And if the visibility is good, we'll have like these kind of beautiful ocean vistas. We'll visit the village of Vík, which is one of the more, well, probably the prettiest village in Iceland, kind of with high kind of scenic cliffs and so on, where we will have I assume kind of like a coffee break. There's a kind of a famous coffee in an American school bus called School Beans, which is a kind of a favorite place of to visit by almost everybody that goes there. So we'll check that out, and then we'll so on the way back to our hotel we'll pass like a country hotel. It's called Rangá, and they have a world-renowned restaurant which we'll dine at. So that's the second day. The third day we're going to do the tour that is probably best known in Iceland, which is referred to as the Golden Circle. It includes kind of three of the best known kind of sites in Iceland. The Þingvellir National Park, which is essentially what we call a rift valley. It's where the movements of the tectonic plates are essentially slowly tearing the island apart. It's kind of
Yikes.
Yeah, it's a geological wonder. It's one of only two places in the world where you'll find such a landscape above sea level. We'll visit Gullfoss waterfall, which is Iceland's second most powerful waterfall. And then we'll visit the geothermal area at Geysir, where we'll have a chance to see the mighty Strokkur erupt or spout, which is a spouting hot spring. Now, along the way, we will have lunch at arguably the most popular restaurant in Iceland, which is at the tomato farm at Friðheimar. They have a little restaurant inside the tomato greenhouse, and we'll get to learn about how we are able to also utilize the geothermal activity and heat to grow produce in Iceland, and kind of sample some of their wares. And it kind of depends on how we're doing on time. There are like almost infinite opportunities for stops on that route, but I guess you could say the main highlight of what we'll be doing on that day is the snorkeling. Arguably one of the better known snorkeling locations in the world is in a place called Silfra, which is in one of the rifts that kind of the tectonic plates have created as they're drifting apart. And people often kind of wonder why it's such a popular place for snorkeling. They kind of assume that there's so much wildlife or something in the water, but no, it is simply because the water that spills out into the rift has been naturally filtrating through the porous lava rocks for 200 to 400 years. So when it spills out, there's nothing in it. It's just perfectly pure. And they say on a perfect day, you will have up to like 200 meters visibility in the water, which is pretty much unheard of in the world. So essentially 2 football fields length you'll be able to see in the water. And
so just to clarify, Sævar, this is not the ocean. It's
no.
It's meltwater, correct?
Yeah. So it's in a rift that kind of spills into Iceland's biggest natural lake, which is called Þingvallavatn. So it is fresh water.
Okay. Yep.
And as I said, it's beautiful, but it's kind of disorienting in a way because the water is so clear. It kind of just feels like you're floating on air. It's an experience that everybody should do at least once. As Fran said, it's going to be cold. The water, it's probably not a shock that the water is going to be cold in Iceland, but it is. It's something that I highly recommend to everybody that visits Iceland. Now,
but we'll be in dry suits and things like that,
yes.
So we'll be taken care of.
Yeah. The dry suits, they have like an insulating layer of air kind of in between, so it kind of keeps you from getting hyperthermia in the water. Of course, that would be bad for business if that would be happening on a regular basis. But as I said, I've done it twice. It is, and I've survived both times. So, it's mostly cold on your face because that has to, of course, be exposed. And you have gloves, but they are not attached to the suit itself. So sometimes you'll have a little trickle of water that kind of goes into the glove. So you'll have your hands will be a little cold, but otherwise, you'll feel cold and you'll feel like a little bit of pressure as you're in the water. But otherwise, it'll be all right.
Awesome.
And after that, we will head back to Reykjavik. and check into our hotel, and then we'll have dinner at my favorite restaurant in Iceland, which is a fish restaurant. Now, I'm sure Árni, my colleague in the Faroe Islands, will probably have some seafood dishes on the menu. Of course, we here in Iceland would like to say we have the best seafood in the world, but we'll have to fight about it when we meet. But we'll show you some of the best seafood that Iceland has to offer. Now, on the fourth day, we have kind of I guess you could say like an activity day to a degree. In the beginning of the day up until kind of around like a little bit in the afternoon, you'll have a free day. We will have suggestions of things to do, and we can kind of depending on how the group wants to play, we can do it different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But in the afternoon, we have horseback riding on the schedule. Now, as a farmer's son and somebody who grew up riding Icelandic horses, this is something that is absolutely not to be missed while visiting Iceland. The Icelandic horses, they've kind of become a bit famous in recent years, and that's kind of for numerous reasons. But these are the kind of slightly shorter horses. People often like to use the word small, but they're quite stocky and strong.
Mm-hmm.
And they have just such an awesome kind of personality. They're stoic and calm and curious, and as I said, just the absolute best way, in my opinion, to kind of experience the Icelandic landscape. And we've chosen a company to kind of partner with that has some of the best riding trails in the vicinity of Reykjavik. After we have gone horseback riding, we will then take people to the Sky Lagoon, which is one of the geothermal lagoons that we have on offer here in Iceland.
Mm-hmm.
It's just yet another way that we are utilizing all this geothermal heat that is underneath our feet.
Mm-hmm.
And people will have a chance to kind of relax after the excitement of the previous days, and of course after the horseback riding, kind of wash off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the Sky Lagoon, we will have a home cooked meal. So it kind of depends a little bit on the size of the group. If it kind of stays relatively small, we'll come to my family home, and my wife will cook for us. But if we fill up the seats, I have something very special in mind that I might kind of prepare for the group, which I won't tell anybody. You'll kind of just have to book a seat and find out.
Well, you got to tell me.
Yeah, I'll
whisper it to me later.
I will slip you a note and let you know what.
Okay.
But as I said, we'll kind of give people a chance to kind of learn a little bit about how local life in Iceland is, and kind of meet a few of us other than just me. But yeah, so that is essentially the Icelandic portion of the tour. And the day after the home cooked meal, which is going to be the kind of the farewell meal in Iceland, you will then fly from the international airport in Keflavik to the Faroe Islands. So I think we can hand the ball over to my colleague in the Faroes.
All right, let's do that. All right, there's Árni. How's it going, my friend?
Good, very good. Looking forward to this meeting, and hopefully to welcome you all to the Faroe Island as well.
We can't wait. We can't wait to get there.
It's going to be a really good trip to the Faroe Island, and we're special. Probably many of you haven't heard about us before. That's often the first reaction when we say where we are from. And many maps around the world don't even have our country on the map. So it's like a hidden gem that you're going to, and a very special country, or if I can say it myself.
Absolutely. Well, the same with Sævar. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this guiding craziness that we do.
Yes, my name is Árni Winter Jakobsson, and like Sævar, I'm son of Jakob. Jakobsson, son of Jacob. I've been actually this year, I've been guiding for 10 years. My first guide job was 10 years ago in 2015, March, when we had a total solar eclipse in the Faroe Island. And I started to guide at that point from a very young age. I was 15. when I started guiding. And now for the last, I've been guiding ever since. And then I established my own company, and throughout some tours and events, I met Fran. And now we are doing a really cool trip to the Faroe Island, I think, myself. So that's a bit about myself.
Yep. Fantastic. Well, if you would like to share your screen and talk about your part of the itinerary, we'd be glad to do that.
Yes, I think you can see my screen now, right?
Yep, here we go.
Yes.
All right, you're there.
Yes. After a very short flight from Iceland, you'll arrive in the Faroe Island, just southeast of Iceland, sorry. You'll arrive in the island of Vágar, the western island in the Faroe Island, where I myself will welcome you. And we are actually going straight out to hike and to adventure the Faroe Island. We're going to my family village, Gásadalur, and we're not doing the easy way to take the tunnel. We're going to hike over to the village. The town that was the last, Gásadalur village, was the last village to get road connection in 2006. So before that, one of the only way to come to the village was by hiking over the mountain, as there are cliffs. The village is surrounded by cliffs, so it's only a few days a year that you can actually able to go by boat. So my grandmother's from that village, and many in my family have walked that trip many 100 times. So we're going to do that hike. It's not a too difficult hike. It's 2 hours with really strong, outstanding views of the islet of Tintilmer, where actually the last Peter Pan movie is part of it is filmed there. The introduction to the movie is filmed there. We'll have really beautiful, that's a fun fact, but we will have really beautiful scenic. We'll have a packed lunch up in the mountain. We will stop by a spring where water comes out to drink water, and there's some special stories about that spring that I will tell you more about. It's actually blessed water. We're used to back in the days to baptize children in that water. Before the tunnel, and back in the days when my grandmother was little, and way before that as well. So when we enter to the village of Gásadalur, we will, that's one of the most picturesque places of the Faroe Island. If you Google the Faroe Island, Gásadalur is one of the villages that comes up first, especially known for the waterfall called Múlafossur. We'll walk down and take some postcard pictures there. But the special thing that we're actually going to do in this village is behind the waterfall, because my friend and the farmer in Gásadalur there, he actually produced his own beer called Múlafossur beer after the waterfall. So he grows barley in the field just above the waterfall, and then he takes water from the waterfall and makes his own really good beer. So we're going up to meet him in his farmer's cafe, actually. We'll get well-deserved beer after a hike. And then we're going to have some homemade cake or coffee or something like that.
Nice.
We have a cafe that they produce almost everything they serve there is from their own farm. So it's a really nice entrance to the Faroe Island. And your hotel is is actually next to the airport, but there aren't so many planes, so you will not get disturbed by them or anything. There are 3-4 planes a day, so you need to be lucky. But the hotel is so we're going back there. It's 15 minutes drive from the airport to the village of Gásadalur, so people have time to shower. And then in the evening we're going to a local home. It's quite popular in the Faroe Island, as I think I could understand from Sævar, that you're going to his home in Iceland. In the Faroe Island, we call it heimablutne. That means that we invite you to our home. So we go into a local home and get some really nice dinner there in the evening. The concept is, I think, it's a quite cool concept, and it came up with many reasons, but one of the practical reasons is that we don't have so many restaurants around the country. So that's an idea that when we come with small groups, we can go into smaller villages and island and actually get something to eat, because we go into local people. So it's not a restaurant, it's like local people home that will prepare some dinner for us on the first day of the Faroe Island.
And just out of curiosity, how much of the food that the locals prepare there is produced or caught there? Is anything brought in much?
as I must say that, we were talking, and Sævar was talking about the seafood, and we say that we have the best seafood in the world, one of the locals produced, and I can say that because we get the best prices. So as you can, it's up to you to judge, but let's see when you arrive here.
Okay.
We do a lot of lamb meat. We have about 70,000 sheep and 50,000 people. So lamb meat is a huge part of our dietary in the Faroe Island. And then, of course, eat a lot of fish. But because we are so remotely out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and we don't have this thermal energy that they have in Iceland, all the vegetables, all other things are brought in. So you will eat, some of the farmers, you will experience their own food, what they produce. You will actually eat most of the food that we'll have in the Faroe Island will be locally produced. But otherwise, if you see a tomato or if you see a salad, it comes from far away from. So that's everything is important by container ship. Every single cucumber to every single egg, everything. The only thing we're self-sufficient with is milk and fish, and not even lamb meat. We import a lot from Iceland. So
Wow.
yeah, so that's the only thing we're self-sufficient with, as it is for now.
Fantastic. Yeah.
But we're going to day 6. So from the island of Vágar, we are going to the biggest island of the Faroe Island called Streymoy. Really big. No, it's the biggest, but a small island compared to a lot of other country. We're going to drive into our first subsea tunnel, as a subsea tunnel that we built in the Faroe Island. So we're going under the water, and we have many subsea tunnels in the Faroe Island, where we go to the village of Vestmanna. And from there, we're going to take a really nice boat tour around the cliffs north of Vestmanna, where you see not only puffins, as you will see in Iceland, but thousands of a lot of different birds, from razorbills to auks and fulmars, and a lot of different food and a lot of different birds that we have here around in the Faroe Island. And if the weather is good, the boat will go into some of the caves, and it's a really stunning, really nice tour to the Faroe Island, slow morning activity. Before we go to the more heavy stuff, or if we can say so, we're going to our award-winning distillery called Fair Isle Distillery. They are producing their own whiskey and gin and aquavit. They will give us a tour around the production and where they store the whiskey barrels. And as well, I think you'll get a little bit something to try to drink it as well. If you would like, you'll probably have a lot of opportunity to try a lot of these products that they produce there. We'll have a lunch there, Nordic style sandwich in the distillery there, before we drive back to Tórshavn. That's the capital of the Faroe Island. We like to say it's the smallest capital in the world. There live about 18,000 people in the capital of Tórshavn, so it's really a small capital, and it's known for being the colorful capital, as a lot of the houses have different colors. So we'll go there, and everybody will have the opportunity to check in at the hotel. Before in the evening, we're actually going to the village of Selatra, around 20 minutes drive to actually one of our newest subsea tunnel, which has this roundabout that has been spoken from The Guardian. It's called the Giant Jellyfish. So it's in all the subsea tunnels in the Faroe Island, there are art and different art, lighting and different ways of showing some of the local art that we have there. So it's actually an experience in itself to drive between the villages in the Faroe Island. But when we enter the farmer there, it's like a farm to table experience. So they are sheep farmers in the Faroe Island, like Sævar's family is. They have some sheep there, and we will see all the sheep, help them to feed them, and they will tell all about how it is to be a sheep farmer in the Faroe Island, before they as well actually invite all of us to their local home, where we get served a lamb dinner, and a really good lamb dinner there as well. So that's sort of day 2, a long but really, really good day, but with opportunity for relaxation as well, of course. And then we actually moved. I think I'll just move to, I don't know if you have any questions or anything, but otherwise I'll move to day 7.
Yep.
So on day 7, we are going to, it's a hiking day. It's an easy hike, but a really beautiful hike from Tórshavn to Kirkjubøur. We believe that is one of the oldest villages, or where one of the first settlers came to. When the settlers came here, we believe that Kyrkjebø was one of the first places they arrived to. It's a hike from the hotel, close to the hotel, for around 1.5 hour, 2 hour before we enter Kyrkjebø, and there we will see one of our oldest churches. The oldest remaining church in the Faroe Island is approximately around 900 years old.
Wow.
And you're lucky, maybe I'll sing for you, or someone else come. I don't want to spoil anything. Before
you said it. We're gonna make you sing now. It's gotta be you.
Yeah, we'll see when you come out.
All right.
But from Kyrkjebø, we'll experience the village there, and we'll go into the local farmer's house there. It's 953 years old, according to the farmer. Or he says that it was 900 years old when he was born, and now he's 53, so it needs to be at least 953 years old. And it's a really special house. It's not a museum or anything. It's their local home. And I like to say, especially when we have American guests visiting with us, it's like, it's older than your country, where only this family have been living. So it's a really old, cool experience to visit the historical part of Kyrkjebø before actually 2 rib boats come and pick us up. And don't worry, don't be scared of rib boats or anything. They will sail really smooth out to the island of Koltur, which is our first natural reserve in the Faroe Island, where we are going to, most of the time we have the island almost for ourselves, and we will have the experience to walk in the island and learn about the soil generation. They have a lot of different programs going on there, everything from soil generation to remaining the old village settlements, how that should look back in the days, and to back in the days we had many small houses together in the Faroe Island, so it's like an architectural pearl when we go there. There are an opportunity. It's a really wide beach. There's an opportunity to swim there. I will bring some towels, so if you want to swim in the Atlantic Ocean, there's an opportunity if somebody would like to dip, as we say in the Faroe Island. That's quite popular, to take a dip in the ocean in the morning. And then you should be really fresh and live long. So we'll have some hours there in the Koltur until the rib boats come and take us back to the harbor, until the harbor, and take us back to the hotel. In the evening, we're going to one of my favorite restaurants in Tórshavn. It's called Óarstova. It's down in the city center of Tórshavn. In a really traditional and historical house, and we will sit together in a really cool room, and we'll have like the tables formed like a Faroes boat that led us to the next day, actually, when we are going in a Faroes boat. But in this restaurant, we will serve you the best seafood in the world, I would say.
All right, Sævar, he's thrown down the gauntlet.
No, we'll have. I've been in Iceland many times myself, and I can guarantee you'll get good seafood both in Iceland and in the Faroe Island. So we'll have a nice dinner in the city center of Tórshavn. And speaking of the boat, because we're sitting in a boat, day 8 is one of my favorite days together. All the days in the Faroe Island are my favorite, but this one is really good day actually. And so we met. We'll have a guided walking tour down to the city center of Tórshavn. And speaking of, like we're competing with Iceland, I know that you are going to the area around Þingvellir, that the Iceland says that that's the oldest parliament area in the world, or some of you like to say that. But we're actually going to visit what we think is the oldest parliament area in the world. It's called Tinganes. That means the parliament area, or parliament area. We're going to the parliament area there. We believe it's way older than 1,000 years old, and older than the one in Iceland.
Wow.
And going through the old town of Tórshavn, and have a nice opportunity to maybe shop some sweater store in the city center, or go to we'll have some hours in Tórshavn, and I'll be guiding around before we go to catch your own dinner, we call it. So we'll go out with a traditional Faroese boat. These are boats that we have been using for many, many hundred years in the Faroe Island, and they are now on the UNESCO Heritage List as something that we should keep on doing, or I forgot the word in English, but yeah, that prefer never mind, I forgot the word, but it's on the UNESCO's heritage list, and we're going with these Faroes boats out to the ocean, and hopefully catch our own dinner. And I can say that you will catch something, and that will be everything from cod to haddock to mackerel. That's some of the most common fish that you'll be able to catch there in August. And then we're all going to gather back in Tórshavn and take everything that we have catched that day, and we'll go to a local chef or a local home where either if you would like to attend, it's an interactive evening. You can help them to prepare the dinner for the night, but you will eat your own catch. And I think that's like for everybody, that's a really special experience to like go out and catch something and then prepare it in the evening and eat it. We have a lot of sayings in the Faroe Island, and I'm going to say that this is one saying many times, but one of the saying is that sötur sjálfgefin bita. That means that the sweet is the bite that you self catch. So that's it's really nice, the feeling of catching your own dinner.
Sure.
That's sort of day 8, and then we have day 9, which is the day that you don't want to come to, but that's the day when we say bye and I drive with you together to the airport, which is 45 minutes from the Tórshavn.
Okay.
We will say goodbye. But that's sort of, yeah.
Well, fantastic. And by the way, Holly's been texting me and telling me that my audio is very quiet, so I apologize for being so quiet. I'm not usually quieter than everybody else, but apparently I am today, so I apologize for that. I don't know who's watching live or how many or whatever, but if you have any questions, now's a good time to ask them, and I'll see them when you write them. But whoever wants to take this, talk about the. I guess Sævar, what can people expect as far as weather and temperature goes during this time of year?
Yeah, so the weather in August is usually relatively mild still. July is usually our hottest month, but you usually have fairly mild weather in August. Iceland is kind of known for being a place where the weather can be a bit unpredictable, so it would not be that unusual to have a bit of rain and so on, but I would say like kind of low to middle 60s in Fahrenheit temperatures is to be expected. But as we say in Iceland, you just bring layers. If it gets too hot, you can always take them off, but if you don't have them, you'll regret it. Mm-hmm. So but overall the weather should be relatively mild.
Okay.
And Árni, is it about the same where you are? Or?
Yeah, I would say a little bit the same. First of all, we're called the land of maybe because we can never plan anything because it's the country where the weather god rules. So the weather can change quite quick also in August, I must say. But normally we have really good weather now, really nice weather in August, a little bit from 10 to 14, 15 degrees Celsius, a little bit below 60 degrees Fahrenheit. But it can change really much, and maybe it will be 20 degrees, maybe it will be storm. No, but it's going to be around that temperature. And remember to bring a raincoat because it rains about 300 days a year in the Faroe Islands. So it can be rainy, but it is not the same rain as we experience other places. It's a mild rain, and it's a rain for some half an hour, and then it stops again. Hopefully.
Gotcha.
Maybe, but yeah.
Well, hey, if it was a sun, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mark. I can add something, especially in the Faroe Islands. It's very important to know that the Faroe Islands they have sort of like microclimates as well. So most of the activities that we have, they take place in different areas, and we are like it's easy to adapt as well to the climate. If we feel like there is like one area where it's a little bit tricky to do one activity, then we can switch things around. We have that flexibility. So we will adapt, but yeah, weather is basically king, queen, and god there. So we'll adapt to that.
Gotcha. All right, I've got one question here. So, if you don't like fish, are there other options for people? I'm assuming there are, but you guys speak to that.
Yes, of course. You have you have fairly Western diets in both Iceland and the Faroe Islands. So if you don't eat fish, then don't worry, you won't starve to death.
Okay.
Okay,
good.
I will say the same. You'll have a lot of all the opportunity to provide both fish and meat, so they will get a lot of other opportunities as well to it. They won't be hungry.
All right, good deal. Let's see if there's anything else. I'm assuming we're probably going to get a lot more questions after the fact. This is lunchtime here in Tennessee, so people are probably out working and doing things like that. Here's a question. Do Sævar and Árni speak any common language?
Kind of.
Yes.
We can kind of understand each other, but there are like certain words that are they will mean slightly different things. So when Icelanders and Faroe Islanders are talking together, we will often kind of start giggling a little bit because somebody says something that can't be interpreted. But our languages are quite related, yes.
Yeah, we say that in terms of families and language, we say that in school you always learn that Icelandic and Faroese are like cousins. So not 100% identical, but like a little bit the same. And if I travel to Iceland after some days, you start to get it a little bit. So yeah, we can understand the words.
So how often do you guys visit each other's countries?
Reasonably frequently. There's a lot of kind of interconnectivity between the islands.
Mm-hmm.
There are like very frequent flights from Iceland to the Faroe Islands and so on, and it has been like a decent amount of people from the Faroe Islands come to Iceland to study and so on. So it's like I wouldn't say that there's like a flood in between, but there's a very steady stream of people kind of going in between.
For me and myself, first of all, my parents love Iceland, so they like to travel there at least once or twice a year. My aunt also used to live in Iceland, so we visited her many times. And otherwise, it's like some Faroese people love to come there. It's only 1 hour and fly in the plane, and all this swimming pool and spa that opportunity that they have in Iceland. So it's a place where some Faroese people go to vacation as well.
That's awesome. Well, guys, we're bumping up on an hour here, and I think this has been now as soon as I start saying that, I'm getting some other questions. All right, and Sherry, we didn't cover this, but what will be the longest hike of this itinerary? And it might be that you guys need to answer that individually for your countries.
I'll allow Árni to go first. I'm usually always grabbing the word, so I'll give him the...
Yes, so on the first day, we will have a hike that is around 1.5 hours, 2 hours, including a lot of breaks. It's a relatively short hike, but it's approximately around 300 feet elevation up. Elevation down, so that's around. In the first of all, in the Faroe Island, we never talk in meters or elevation. We often always talk in just hours or minutes. So around 1.5 hours the first day, and then we have this on the what day is it? Is the seventh day? We have a hike from the capital Tórshavn to Kirkjubøur. That's 2-hour hike, but it's flat, or as flat as it gets in the Faroe Islands. So Faroese flat, I would like to say.
Okay.
Yeah, so kind of the same in Iceland. So the hike we have on the first day, I would say it would be somewhere between 2 to 2.5 hours, and I'm kind of including like the lunch in with that. So we can kind of we can scale it a little bit. So the landscape that we'll be tracking through is a bit rough. As I said, it's kind of new and volcanic. We'll kind of be going up and down along a ridge. So yeah, I would say like a 2-hour hiking and then maybe half an hour kind of for like scenic stops and lunch. Now when it comes to the glacial hike, so all in all, it usually takes about 3 to 3.5 hours. We usually try to be around 2 hours on the glacier itself. Again, this is very heavily weather dependent. If the weather is not kind of with us, then often it can be a bit shorter. But the good thing about the hikes, they're very scalable. So it's not like you have to go like, you can always kind of just go in and then go back if that's so the hikes are like there and back here in Iceland. So they're kind of, you can kind of control it how long they are and how kind of taxing you want them to be.
Yeah. So there's not going to be any like 6-hour slogs, treks like a lot of our other itineraries have. This trip is going to be a lot more varied as far as activities and things go, and which is one reason we designed it this way. We wanted it to be more than only hiking. So
this tour is kind of geared to get the hook into people, and then we give them the big hikes next time.
That's right. And we have I'll ask this on behalf of one of the people that have already booked. This lady is crazy about waterfalls. She travels all over the place just to find waterfalls, and she wants to get as close to the waterfalls as she can. So speak to that, Sævar. How close can she get? I bet she can even get behind some waterfalls.
Let me just answer it this way. By the time she is done in Iceland, she will be sick of waterfalls. Okay. Iceland is sometimes referred to as the land of waterfalls. We have, kind of depending on your definition, over 10,000 waterfalls in Iceland. And some of the waterfalls that we'll visit, you can essentially walk behind them and into them if you like. So as I said, that's not going to be a problem.
Excellent.
Yeah, like to add to that, like we also have a lot of waterfalls not as big and majestic as those in Iceland. But we say in the Faroe Island, you're speaking about the weather. If the weather is not so good as sunny, or then we say that the Faroe Islands is one of the only places in the world where the waterfalls both run down and up because the wind takes them up. So if she's lucky, she'll see waterfalls running up as well.
Awesome.
Backwards waterfall.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're at an hour now, and I think I'm gonna call it done. I appreciate all of you guys being here today. It's fantastic. I'm sure we have lots of other questions that we could ask, but this is a good start. And I want to again encourage everybody to book quickly. We only have 6 slots left for the August trip, but keep in mind that when this August trip is over, we will get this on our regular rotation, and there will be departures for later this year and definitely the upcoming years. So now one thing that makes this one special is that Holly and I will be leading it ourselves, and we have special pricing only for this trip. The price will go up to where it will normally be on subsequent trips. So jump in there on this trip if you can, and if you can make it happen at all, do what you got to do, and let's do it. So I want to thank everybody for listening. Thank you for watching. If you're watching this as a later recording, stay in touch with us, reach out and ask questions. And guys, we'll see you soon. Take care.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, everyone.